Hi, my name is Dr. Catherine Hughes from Crime Psych. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about restorative justice. Before I go on to tell you what that is, I just want you to have a think about something. Being the victim of a crime can be very upsetting and very traumatic. Imagine you come home to find your house has been broken into. You walk around the house to see what's been taken. You notice some cash has gone and your bag is emptied all over the floor. You go upstairs and you find your empty jewellery box thrown on the bed. How are you going to feel? I was burgled many years ago and the first thing I felt was shock. How could this have happened and why did it happen to me? With each item that I noticed that was missing, I cried. Somebody had decided to break into my house and take my things. I worked hard to pay for those things. My jewellery was missing and a ring that an auntie gave to me before she died. I'll never be able to replace something that personal. It happened on New Year's Day, so all of the gifts that I'd been given and all of the toys that I'd bought my son for Christmas were now gone. How could somebody do such an evil thing? My sadness very quickly turned to anger as I thought about what kind of lowlife would take my things. In my case, the burglar was never found. In other cases, they are. Imagine facing that person in court. I'd want to know why they chose me and why they targeted my house. Why did they take jewellery that I had such an emotional connection to, rather than other valuable items such as the computer or the camera that were there? I could have replaced those things because they were covered on the insurance, but I can never replace a ring given to me by a loved one who's not here anymore. I'd want to know what they think gives them the right to take my things that I worked hard to pay for. Why did they steal it instead of getting a job, earning money and buying those things for themselves? If a person is a victim of any type of crime, restorative justice is a process that brings them together, the perpetrator and the victim together, to resolve and how to deal with the aftermath of the offence and what the implications are for the future. Restorative justice is a theory of justice that emphasises repairing the harm caused by criminal behaviour. It aims to reduce the fear of the victim and to ensure that they feel paid back in a way because of the harm that was done to them because of the crime. It aims to ensure that the perpetrators of the crime are aware of the consequences of their actions and they have the opportunity to make amends and agree a plan for their restoration in the community. The goal of restorative justice is to increase public confidence in the justice system and other agencies with a responsibility for delivering a response to antisocial behaviour. Of course, this process can only take place where both parties agree to take part. Restorative justice can give victims answers to questions about why they've been victimised and how they can be supported going forward. Victims of crime are likely to receive an apology during this process, although that's not the purpose of a restorative justice process. And similarly, for offenders, restorative justice processes offers a unique opportunity to face up to what they've done, take responsibility and make up for their harm that their offending caused. If you do enjoy this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Subscriptions start from just the price of a coffee and it gives you access to exclusive content and allows me to keep on bringing you videos like this. I have also got online courses, ebooks and games on offender profiling and criminal psychology. All of those details are in the video description. In restorative justice, either the victim of the crime or the perpetrator can ask for this process to begin. The person harmed by the incident should be informed about the restorative justice by the police or the victim services or the youth offending team or some other point of contact that they've had. And the process goes through certain steps to ensure that all parties know what to expect. The first step of a restorative process is to have an initial meeting separately with a restorative practitioner, with the offender and with the victim. And that allows the person who's been harmed to talk about the impact of their crime and what they're thinking and what they're feeling about it now and what they want to happen next. Most victims of crime who go through the restorative justice find that the process is beneficial to them. Some victims want to ask questions about the crime. Some victims want to tell the person responsible what the consequences of their actions were for them. Many want to ensure that they don't go on to offend again. Many people who've committed crimes have things that they want to say to the person who's been affected. They might want to explain to the people who were hurt and try to make amends for their actions. If both parties agree to take part in restorative justice, then the facilitator will prepare them both for the meeting. The facilitator meets with both parties separately, sometimes on a few occasions, to discuss what they want from each other and what they want to say and what they want to hear from each other, and what their feelings are going to be about the incident now and how it impacts them. These meetings will continue until all the participants are fully prepared for the Restorative Justice Conference. If the meeting does go ahead and they're satisfied that it's safe and risk assessed to go ahead, then both the victim and the perpetrator are ready to proceed and a date will be arranged for them to have that conference. The lead facilitator in this starts by setting out some ground rules, and they include no interrupting when someone's talking and no being rude or have the ability to stop the process at any time during it. The facilitator will then ask the person who's committed the crime questions such as, can you tell me what happened? How did you feel at the time? And who was affected by the incident? The facilitator then asks similar questions to the person affected by the crime and to the other people who were in the room supporting them. And that will help to facilitate a conversation about the incident and the impact that it's had. If it's appropriate, the facilitator will help participants to produce an outcome agreement, and that lays out what steps the perpetrator could take to put things right to address the harm that they've caused. It's important to note that the meeting isn't to assign blame or get revenge or to dispute any aspect or decide if they're a good or a bad person. They're conducted so that both parties can understand what impact the crime has had and hopefully heal and recover from the crime. Quite often those committing the crime don't think about the victim or the impact that their crime will have on other people. The process gives people the chance to talk about the incident. They can explain how it's impacted them. They can seek assurances that it won't happen again, and they can agree on how to put things right. Restorative justice leads to a drop in reoffending, as it helps people who've committed crimes to recognise the harm that they've caused. Restorative practice can also be used to address conflicts in other places, such as schools or workplaces. It helps to develop empathy between all parties concerned. Those who've caused the harm, conflict or crime may have been involved in incidents which have been a factor in their own offending and their own behaviour. In schools and workplaces, it emphasises that a mumbled "I'm sorry" isn't good enough. By introducing a moderated meeting, all parties will have the chance to have their say and to make amends. Educational and workplace settings could benefit from this restorative justice procedure. I do hope that you found today's topic interesting. More importantly, I hope that you've learned something new from it. Thanks for watching then. Bye for now.